Hey, it's Joel. You know this. This is an OpenRC video, and it should be the last video before we get it running. I just want to give you an update on what we've done so far. And there's really not that much left, but I really want to tell you about it. So I'm going to do it right here on 3D Printing Nerd. Let's get down to business. First thing I need to tell you about is this piece, right? Well, not this piece, not this piece. This piece is fine. It's this Wishbone thing right here. So originally in the OpenRC project, this is all one file, but because of the size of it, I couldn't print it all as one file. I had to split it up into 3 parts, and whether or not it was a good decision at the time, I don't know, but I split it right at the Wishbone. And you remember Bill Duran and I, when we were gluing some of these parts, we actually drilled out and put some metal in here and then attached it with some epoxy, super glue, something like that. And it held okay. But if you look back at the videos from the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, when Daniel Naray and I put it together, you'll see some orange gaffer tape around it. And that's because it failed. Oh, it failed gloriously. So I needed a better solution. Plus, I don't know if you can see right there, but essentially, I also had a multi-layer DLAM right there. It happened right there. So I needed to be able to attach this together, and then I needed to be able to put this entire Wishbone section together. And that's when I relied and tried out 3D Gloop.
No, don't like that.
It's a bottle with a funny name, but I've seen some really good results from a lot of different people. In fact, at the East Coast Rep Rap Festival, they had this thing where there was 2 handles and the plastic was welded together with 3D Gloop and you couldn't pull them apart. So naturally, I thought I would try it out. And what I did first was put it on right here. I kind of slathered it on. It's got like an acid brush and you just kind of slather it on, and I held it together, and the instructions say like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. I held it until it held itself, and holy cow, it worked. It legit worked. And I thought, that's great. This is a great use case right here. But what about this area of the Wishbone? These tiny little pieces where they make contact. So what I did first is I did this one and I slathered it on, got it good, slathered it on over here, let it all cure, and then look at that. I mean, that's a pretty good wiggle I got going right there. Look at that. This is a very large piece. And the 3D Gloop at the Wishbone, at these little sections right here, holding it together. I am stoked at the performance of this stuff because, well, here, it has a hold that feels very similar to epoxy, but it's just this little bottle and you brush it on and then Father Time takes care of the rest. Whereas epoxy, you've got these 2 things that you have to mix depending on the portions. Then you have a silicone sheet you can put it on and then you mix it. I am going to test 3D Gloop versus epoxy at some point in the future, but right now it's the OpenRC car. So this got glued up and this fits gloriously. So we know that this part was done. Let's put it away. Next, well, I wanted to try something. 3D Gloop, as you can see, does almost like a chemical weld or a plastic weld. And I thought that, well, this is an interesting case right here because the bottom piece of the OpenRC car, it's 2 pieces. And right here you can see they slide in and out. I thought, what if I glooped up this? Originally, my thoughts were on this side to put a flat piece of styrene, kind of like on this side, and then use some Super 77 to glue it down. It would almost be like a corrugated sheet. But I thought 3D Gloop's working really well. Like that Wishbone case, that's pretty good. So I did it on here. Both sides, it's solid as a rock. Like it ain't gonna fail. If anything's gonna fail, the plastic. The material's gonna fail before that glue joint, which means that this is ready to go. Let's put it away. I do wanna say, no, I don't wanna say, so never mind, I'm not gonna say anything. Lastly, for the glue up, this piece mostly survived. There was a piece that kicked out on the side here, and then these broke off from here. I did use the 3D Gloop to glue those back into place. Now it's nice and sturdy and it will provide all the support needed on the back end for that car to go a zillion miles an hour. This is not a commercial for 3D Gloop. It just worked really well. They sent me this to try it out. They didn't pay me. They're just like, yo, you want some to try? And I was like, sure. And I tried it and those are my results. Next, we had to deal with what I think is called the spur gear. Normally in OpenRC, you have this gear and then this goes on the motor and they connect up and the motor turns that gear and it makes the car go zoom, zoom. But we're not using a supersized motor. We're gonna use one of these on the motor. Easy enough. But how do you make that interface? Well, we're gonna use the GT2 belt. And I talked to Daniel Noré and I said, could you model me one of these, but with GT2 teeth? He said, sure. There it is. So you can see it's just a whole bunch of teeth that are GT2. And we tested it out with a belt. They interface really well, but we needed to make a change. We needed a little channel. So this piece, it has a channel that the teeth are in. We needed a channel here. Daniel Noré said, no problem. And he made one with the channel. It works great. So now when we connect this up to the motor shaft and this to the axle in the back, we should have a consistent GT2 belt connection that will drive it really well. There we go. The next thing we had to deal with were the fasteners. And you may remember we used 3D printed fasteners for this car. In fact, there's some of them right here. These 3D printed fasteners worked really well for the time being, but because they are a massive failure point, let's see, will this break? Yep, that just sheared super easily. It's just PLA. I mean, even if I had nylon, I suppose the shear could bend it or something like that. But what we needed metallic fasteners to put this car together to be able to run it at any sort of speed. Originally, all of the parts were tapped for M12. And I had an M12 tap, which made sense because they were originally M3 bolts. I 4X scaled the car. So I went to M12. Again, I don't make all the best decisions, but that was a decision I made. And so everything got tapped for M12 bolts. I'm here in the US and M12 bolts are way more expensive than SAE bolts. And I thought I should convert everything. So I printed new ones. And the idea is simple. I'm going to acquire an SAE tap set. I have a metric set. Amazon's gonna deliver an SAE tap set, which means that I can tap these to 1/2 inch to take these bolts. Ah, the doorbell. Speak of the devil, that could be my tap set right now. Let me go see if Amazon's at the door. Hello, Amazon. Here you go. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hey, what do you know? That was Amazon. Let's see what's on the inside. I'm gonna use my handy dandy Evan and Caitlin knife. There we go. That's what's inside of a tap set right there. And I've got, this is a 1/2 inch 20. I'm tapping to 1/2 inch 13. I'll be able to retap these to be SAE, and then I can use cheaper bolts here in the States to get everything attached. And that's a good thing. Joel, you may be asking yourself, what about the nuts? That's a really good question because these are 1/2 inch nuts. Easy enough. I can twist the bolt in, works just fine. These are metallic. These are also taller than what the tolerances are. So you can see I've got this piece. I have these in there, and right in there are the nuts that are holding it in place. It works there, but in this piece right here, this is where you slide a nut in, and it's available right here to then attach to the other piece. And if you put that nut right there, that doesn't fit, not one bit. So what I need to do is create my own 1/2 inch nuts that can fit. And thanks to Fusion 360, it's really easy to do. And now that I had that, well, I ran into initial issues. I used Polymax on my Artemis, and I started twisting, and I was like, oh, that's really tough. And I wondered, what am I doing wrong? I reduced my flow rate. I printed again, and oh, it was really tough. So I moved to my Prusa with Matter Hackers Build Series PLA. I thought maybe that's dialed in right. And I was like, yes, oh, wait, aw, dang it, foiled. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I do things, I realized, oh, tolerance, clearance, all of that stuff, whatever. But I remembered 0.2 millimeters seemed to be the good one. So in Prusa Slicer, I took my model of a 1/2 inch nut that I made, and I reduced it in X and Y by 0.2 millimeters, because then it allows for me to have a proper clearance, proper tolerance. I don't know. It's a proper nut that fits a 1/2 inch 13 bolt, it's also sized right. So it can slide right in and be accessible. Fits. So now that we've got that taken care of, the only thing left to do now is print a whole bunch. And I did. And I think they're ready. Let's go get them. I think they're ready. They're on the Prusa. Here they are, 30 custom nuts. Let's see if they fit. It fits! Okay, we can take all of these and we can get the car assembled here. Let's go back. Yes, now we are set. Ooh, some fell. This looks good, but we have these hex bolts and I need something that's more of a taper like this. So let's head out to Tacoma Screw. No, it's a fastener store. Stop it. Let's go get us some 1/2" 13 screws, machine screws with that tapered head, and then we can actually put this together. Awesome.
Hey, good morning. It's 6 something in the morning, and I have to be at Tacoma Screw at 7 a.m. in order to get the screws, in order to come back and film and get everything done. So, good morning. Hey, we did it. I'm at Tacoma Screw. It's 7:02 a.m. Let's hope the fasteners are in. Got our box of fasteners, and big thanks to Dick at Tacoma Screw. Awesome dude. I gotta get home, gotta take the kids to school. We'll see you back in the studio.
We made it back. We made it back to the studio, and I got my box from Tacoma Screw, and we're gonna open it up, and we're gonna find out what's inside. I mean, I know what's inside. Let's be honest. I ordered it. It has a bag of fasteners right there, and there's the 4 super large ones that I ordered. Fit. And I got slotted, so these are flathead because that way any sort of flat object I could turn it. So, I need to tap these. The sponsor of today's video is, it's you, it's me, it's Patreon, it's my Patreon supporters. Part of the reason I'm able to do what I do is because of Patreon support. And I have a bunch of people over there that love supporting me, and they also get a little bit of extra because some of my Patreon supporters are also members of my High Five Club. And everyone in my High Five Club gets access to After the Five, the show I record after the show. You know me as always, High Five. When I drop my hand, I say, "Hey Fivers," and then we have ourselves a little conversation. It's behind the scenes, it could have special guests, it could talk about something important or something that I just have on my mind. You never know, and that's why people really love it. So, if you're interested in supporting this channel via Patreon, the link is down below. Like a glove. I've made a mess and the pieces are all tapped that need to be tapped, and it's time to do an assembly. So, well, I'm warm. I'm gonna take this off and we're gonna put it together. Whew, the hard part is out of the way. Now all that's left to do is for Robert to add batteries and motors and a servo and make it go juice, I guess. All these parts here I didn't put on the car yet because he's gonna have to disassemble it to some degree in order to do the work on it, plus transporting it with these wheels would have made it heavier, and I didn't want to play bumper cars in the hallway on the stairs. I'm pretty satisfied with how this project has gone. I'm really sorry it's taken this long. Let's be honest, RC cars, finishing stuff, not really my forte. I mean, I'm working on finishing stuff, of course, the Daft Punk helmet, but RC stuff still getting into. Obviously, if you love radio-controlled things, you can go look at Punish Props Academy. Bill loves his RC cars and outfitting them. You can go look at RC Life On, who does RC boats and planes. Peter Sripple, I think, who does all sorts of radio-controlled crazy stuff. James at X Robots. I don't know if it's radio-controlled, but it's remote-controlled, or it operates on its own and will consume humanity one day. Oh, how could I forget? And Ivan Miranda, the king of red, and that's that darn tank that he radio controls. But we're almost there. This is the last video before it runs. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, which blows my mind. And I have more thoughts on this, of course, in After the 5. If you're one of my $5 Patreons, you get access to After the 5, the show that I record when I bring my hand down and I give you a peek into the extras that happen along here. You know what? A big thanks to everybody that made this far. I can't wait to finish this, and the next time you'll see it, it should have some vroom vroom to it. Beyond all that, don't forget to hug each other more. I love you guys, as always. High five. Hey, Fivers.